Well. What you're looking at is the globe. And warning, what you're seeing is deceiving. We have two different icons that mean the same thing, and what I mean by that is this icon right here. Let's see what happens when we get into this. What we have here is the icon down here. It says Search and Rescue Hoist. I don't have that yet. It says not available. It's the binoculars. Sure, it's grayed out, and the one down here over Australia isn't grayed out. But when we hold the cursor over this one, we see that the hoist part of it isn't there. There's two different versions of search and rescue. I was probably going a little fast last time through, trying to make these a little bit quick and concise. I'm tending to miss some things, apparently. However, before I want to get into this mission, I need to do the most vital step in preparing these missions, and that's helicopter configuration. So I'm going to get into the settings and controls in this menu before I go any further every single time. At least for now, this is the biggest way to get around this, because as you can see, I've just loaded into the simulator. This is the very first action I've taken, and the general controls, helicopter controls, and specific H125 controls have all reverted back to their default settings, even though I have already saved presets for these aircraft. You can see so by just clicking the right arrow until you see the general controls go to my presets. This one, specific controls, has two options: Asobo keyboard or none. Stick with the Asobo keyboard. Make your own changes to those by going to search input, clicking it, click the button, and you're going to see all of the different inputs that specific button press will be assigned. You can either keep them or delete them. So the space key right now, as you can see, has lots of overlapping instructions. Toggle run, slew mode, set horizon, take a picture. You see what I'm saying? This is something that is going to be time consuming to say the least, but if it's done right, flying the aircraft and enjoying the actual experience is going to be a lot better. It's going to come a lot faster. But you have to take the time to do this before every flight for now. I'm thinking that, of course, this is going to be an update, right? So I don't want this one to be a sim pause anymore. I'm just going to simply hold the cursor over it and go to the backspace key or delete key and get rid of it. Now you can see that it's spinning the wheel over here on the left side, but it does not allow me to change or save that as a preset until I back out. Now it gives me the chance to go save and back. Okay? So I can keep configuring these before I go into the mission in this area. So let's see what we have for controls. On the throttle. Throttle over here, right? I don't want that minute gen. H225. Specific H225 controls I have set up to search and rescue. On the collective, I have all of these set. Search specific H125 controls. I will switch this one to Asobo. Okay? Now, you're going to be hoisting. How do you do it? In this menu, you're going to scroll down and you're going to go into Not Categorized. This list is long and distinguished. We're going to, instead of typing in by input, we're just going to click in the search box and I'm going to type in the word hoist. Hoist increase, decrease, set, and toggle. These have a conflict. The conflict is a quick reply. This will ruin your experience because Asobo is looking for this on a regular basis during these missions. When you're trying to verify different points throughout the mission, whether it is announcing your taxi or speaking to your passengers, things along those lines are going to require this quick reply input. But I don't want it in multiple cases. It can't be in more than one place. So what I'm going to do is actually bring this one by clicking that square box with the 45-degree arrow in it. So quick reply comes up into this menu bar, and then I'm going to delete it. Now when I go back, you'll see that that no longer has a conflict. I'm going to do the same thing for hoist set. It says toggle crouch. However, toggle crouch is in a different section of my flight controls. So that's kind of like if I'm outside of the aircraft. So that's in a different configuration. That is in an external view of the helicopter, kind of when you're in the photography mode. So that is a different set of controls altogether, and that conflict can exist. So you can actually use multiple inputs on one button press. So now I'm going to go save and back. With these presets, I can now go into a mission that says only search and rescue with this helicopter and successfully pull this off. We're going to do everything we did before. We're going to go to see the full brief. Nice big search area. It's not too bad. Fill out our EFB. I'm not going to be too overly dramatic with this. We've all seen this before. If you haven't, feel free to go back and see the other videos, but I will plan with the ATC, route the avionics, wait for the colors of the buttons to change back to their originals, enter my flight registration information, and carry on. I am currently at 11:46 p.m. local time. So I'm going to give this approximately that much time before I go off. That will be in the AM hour at that point. I'm going to enter in my navcom as the E1. This menu is broken. I'll X out of it. It still transfers. I want a transponder that goes squawk and altitude, and I'm in. Good enough for me. Moving on. We're going to close this, accept the mission. And I think it's that time to just fire it up. Fly. this thing just to be a more vanilla helicopter. We're going to search and rescue in a marshmallow. This is great. If you didn't notice, I've actually cleaned up my starting procedures. Startup procedures are a lot smoother this time around in the old turbine H125. See, and here's what I mean by this quick reply key. It's the delete key. Alright, so we put together on our settings, so they should be working. Shift. So I'm going to come back into the chopper. Something that we've been seeing quite a bit of is we haven't been able to get the hydraulic error to come out of this. We'll see what happens if I go into the flight indent. It has been a minute since I've been in the scene. So we'll see if we can get rid of this hydraulic error. Floats. And everything else is in good condition. Except 6 1/2 dozen of the order. I'll also say that the center display's brightness has been fixed. Those are already in much better condition than they were a few hours ago. So that will give you an idea of just how fast Asobo is pushing out some of these fixes with Microsoft and the team. It's happening very quickly, it's very accurate, and they're doing a fantastic job. I'm going to give them all the credit we can give them. I hit the delete key, I get a proper reaction to the mission steps. That is what is supposed to be happening. It is extremely important to be able to keep these mission steps visible. If you don't see them and you turned off that assistant in your menu, you're not going to know what's going on. Probably not even going to be able to progress through this. You're probably going to be extremely frustrated, but what'll make it even worse is just the fact that what's holding you back from flying a proper helicopter is more than likely your key bindings and making sure that there aren't conflicts 6 ways to Sunday, because it happens every single time you load up the sim. This is a bug that they are in the process of working on though. Our steps have changed. It now says to announce the taxi. Delete again. Bang. I'm getting a proper response from the simulator. We're on board a SAR mission. Not SAR hoist. Search and rescue. This is an area of search operations. During the day, you have a 1-hour time limit to find the survivor. It is a gigantic circle that you can see on my flight bag. And within that radius, somewhere is your injured patient. It's your responsibility to fly there. According to ATC regulation and mission steps independently. If one doesn't work, the other one should. However, doing both makes you better. This is something that I like to configure because it's extremely helpful just in case one of these systems fails throughout this mission. The other will become available. It's recognizing the mission steps automatically. I can now enter, but the ATC box hasn't allowed me to announce anything other than the taxi. Technically, a entrance into a runway is still part of a taxi according to most people. So I'm just going to quietly and slowly move my aircraft out onto the taxiway, looking to the right and left before I get onto the runway. Wow, there's the inside of a chair. Okay, we're going to get the call that we have reached the runway. Maybe. Now it's changed to take off from runway 29. However, air traffic control is still only available as a taxi. More than likely, I will be negatively impacted by this specific bug automatically, regardless of what is going on. right there. Top of the screen is telling me that aviator performance, landing light. Oh, landing light. What? See, all of this is changing at such a rapid pace. These errors are now switching from one bug to another. Climb to an altitude of 4,500 feet. ATC is no longer eligible. I'm going to go ahead and close that for now and just follow the mission steps. I'm also going to follow the ATC flight plan, even though it's still going to ding me for following the flight plan. I'm following the magenta line on my flight bag. The altitudes that they're asking for are not being properly registered or credited, if that makes sense. And it keeps giving you a negative impact on your flight. Don't worry, you'll get past this part of it regardless. As long as you maintain smooth flight and follow your flight path, which is the magenta line on the EFB, as closely as you possibly can, you're still going to do well with the flight. The same thing applies for the requested speeds. It is not being properly represented, and you're being negatively impacted for it. Now it's saying fly to search area approach. You can see that the call out up here is attached to the top of the screen behind the call out. That would suggest to me that you need to be, I can keep looking up, way up there. Sorry, I am not going to do a search and rescue mission when I am looking for one woman wearing an orange jacket from that altitude. Nope, I'm going to be down a little bit further. I'm going to follow my flight plan. And all of a sudden that flag has changed positions. So what I've got right now is a better idea of where this individual should be found on the mountainside. I am also just now about to put the helicopter inside of my search area. The mission steps are still fly to the approach area. Now I'm in it. So that just basically means that I am in this orange bubble. I am able to start searching for my survivor. Do it from outside of the helicopter. What you're looking for at this point of the flight is some orange smoke like you've seen in all of the trailers. What I want to know if there is a way to disable this smoke. Of course, I can pull the EFB up by hitting the tab key, and I can see that I am in my flight bubble. And what I want to do is just start running circles around this. If you've noticed the pattern that you've been getting into with the missions leading up to this point, you're finding that you're having to fly around certain areas with flight seers in circles. Now, when you're in the Coast Guard, there are actual flight patterns that you could probably institute into this area. I haven't necessarily researched those entirely, so I don't know what that is all about. There is some orange smoke. I have found and identified my survivor, and my mission steps now says to hit the delete key to use intercoms when I have found the target. We're going to move into our helicopter. I am going to put the flight bag away and try to get a better position in the chopper. I am not a VFR pilot, obviously. And what I'm actually going to do is go outside of the helicopter, because at this point, all I have to do is land close to the target. So at this point, I think the easiest way to see is by cheating and going outside of the aircraft. For all of you people who are absolute enthusiasts, of course, you can move this camera around. You can use your head tracker, your VR headsets to get an idea. Challenge accepted. Okay, fine. I will try to do this from only inside. Let's see what we got here. I'm going to move my head a little bit closer into the windshield here. I'm going to zoom out with the mouse wheel so it's kind of like a wider angled lens. I'm keeping an eye on my telemetry, all my gauges. I do see a relatively good landing spot right there. That's going to be to the north of the smoke. We'll come by this and pass it through. This does look like a suitable location for a landing. It does not say anything about hoisting because we are not in a search and rescue hoist mission. You start off search and rescue. You're going to prove to the simulator that you have the ability to locate a survivor in a vast wonderland that is a digital twin of our planet. Challenge accepted. The key is binding your controls positively every single time outside of the simulator. So you don't want to be in a career mode. You don't want to be in free flight. You need to be basically at the main menu map before you do anything. Once you do that, then continue on. And the simulator should start recognizing those bindings. And hopefully, again, Microsoft will come through with another update sooner than later. And Hawk 9, I'm getting some ATC calls right here, but nothing in the mission steps has changed. I've got a survivor over here, and from what I can tell, it looks like their body is in the ground. Yep, she's standing in a bog. She's definitely in a lot of trouble over there. It's going to take our rescue swimmer a while to get her out of the same boat of mud that Microsoft, Asobo, and the rest of the team are in, trying to get this thing where it needs to be. I'm in this external mode right now for a reason. I want you guys to watch the ground and how this rotor wash impacts the foliage underneath. Try not to come down too hard. Get into that ground effect. I did come down relatively hard. Choked on it. But I didn't hit the ground. That's okay. Here we go. Nice and steady. Here comes the grass clippings underneath the chopper. It doesn't tell you how close is close either. There's no proximity. This is just what happens. She runs up against the side of the helicopter, and wouldn't you know it? Success. Mission steps complete. Green arrows across the board. I'm staying on the ground until I get a new mission step, and all it says is take off. Look at the impact of the grass. You can even see the severity of the bending foliage change as it gets further away from my rotor wash. Compare this to 2020, and it is absolutely hands down 10,000 times better. And I'm only running at flipping 15 frames per second right now. CPU's at 94%. No, GPU's at 95%. CPU is at 10, 8. Latency's up there. It's actually 133, averaging milliseconds. That's quite a bit. Once again, if you haven't seen it before, my computer specs are going to be up on screen right here. It's the Ryzen Threadripper 2950X with 128 gigabytes of DDR4 RAM, running on a 2080 Ti graphics card using simply Wi-Fi. And this stream, at that low of a frame rate, is looking really good, at least in my opinion. Of course, every single time, I'm not flying while streaming, I can alter these graphics and get a lot more fidelity out of it. So let's just do what this thing is asking for right now and take off. Climb to 5,000 feet. which is only an additional 100 feet from where we currently are. I'm sort of facing my flight plan already. So we're going to come up to that 5,000 with a nice straight max power. Aviator performance, speed infraction. I'm sorry, how would that be? I just came out of some trees. See, there's another glitch we need to work on. I'm hitting the delete key to announce final when landing or connecting. I'm nowhere near the airport just yet. I'm not even on a visual ATC flight plan. The magenta line is considerable distance away. So those are not actionable sequences yet. All I have to do is be patient and fly there. And enjoy some scenery on the way. We can put the flight bag up on the side. I can even extract this so it doesn't interrupt your lovely view. And notice it pauses the sim when I do that. Another thing to be aware of. However, now on my second monitor, I can just consistently see where my aircraft is. However, it pauses that window when it is undocked from the simulator. As soon as I redock it, it starts moving again. Let's check to see if anything on the delete key is working yet. I'm still a little far away. And again, I want to follow this flight plan. What kind of is ridiculous about this is we have the ability to take very tight turns in a helicopter. Look how far away this flight plan needs us to go before we can properly get into the final. I don't think I need that much room. However, if I come off the flight plan, it negatively impacts your score and earnings at the end of the flight. I get it that it is teaching people to use this as in a real world situation, so you're aware of what these people go through, and you can teach yourself, if you'd like to, how to actually do this type of work before you get into a couple of $1 million worth of machinery and fly around. I would say that the majority of my flight sim users out there aren't doing it in that configuration. They may pretend, they may be, real world pilots are definitely there, but I don't think that that is the majority of the flight sim users. I think we're more along the lines of just wanting to get in and see the digital twin of the planet and enjoy some great graphics along the way and enjoy the community that shares that same passion for flight. So I think it's a little ridiculous that we are forced to fly these paths. Again, if I hit the delete key even this close to the airport, that airport is right there. It says connect to the arrival airport. So let's see if we can get a hold of this. Well, I'm going to say overflying because it doesn't even have any other suggestions except for select a runway for landing. Runway 29 is what our flight bag says. When we come into this, we'll choose runway 29, announce a full stop landing. Now, even though those actions have been taking place with our ATC control, the mission steps, even though we have contacted ATC, still have not recognized that we have conducted that action until right there I announced my position. So now the next action is a delete key, which is the quick reply. You can map it anywhere in your system. Mine is on the delete key. I am not going to fly that full pattern. I'm going to... What? Another aviator performance ding for speed. I am a little bit low. Okay, I'm only at 40 knots. I'll give you that. I think this music in the background might be just a little too loud. What do you think? Just settle that down just a little bit. Sorry, that's probably been a little overwhelming for the majority of this video. Let's see what happens. We've still got our airport. See, this is plenty of time to make an approach. I'm going to start to bring this turnaround right about now. And I'm going to start to close down some of these windows. Aviator performance, another speed infraction. This is one of my biggest downfalls, apparently, especially while streaming. It just seems to be something I run into every time. If I'm outside of a stream and just flying around, it seemed to be doing pretty good with it. But now we should be able to, quote unquote, should, after we clear this marker of Bravo Mike to Echo Mike, after we clear that marker, we should be able to announce final. Delete key, nothing. But you did see ATC control run through something because my cursor is overlapping that menu. Trying it outside of the menu, delete key one more time, nothing. See, right now the delete key is all of a sudden operating the reply to the communication of my ATC window and not doing what I want to. If I close this window, now mission steps is the only thing open. Hit the delete key. Nothing happens. I cannot announce that I'm on final that way. So let's open up this one more time. Select a runway. 29. Full stop. Announce final. Make approach. See what's happening there? There's a way around it. Not bad. It can be done, people. It can be done. People said that the trim doesn't work. I can also verify that the trim on mine also works intermittently. Using those different options in the sim, I am attempting to appease those in charge at the air traffic control tower without success again. I'm on the flippin' runway. There's only one thing left to do. So what do you do at this point? You're at the airport, you've completed your mission, all of your steps have been followed. There is no taxi ribbon available. There are no call-outs to say where I am supposed to go. It said that I have successfully stopped at stop short, but I cannot touch the ground until I announce taxi. If I do, I get another ding. So again, I'm going to go to this one and hit delete. Absolutely nothing. So I am going to cheat right now while these bugs get worked out, and I am going to do the Alt and keyboard input that it requires to skip ahead. Oh, you think I'm cheating doing that? Wait, it's not as damaging as you might think. The only thing I have left to do is shut down the engines. It hasn't given me negative consequences for that since. I'm finding a workaround to someone else's problems. So all we have to do at this point is come down here, and proper procedure for me, I think, is going to turn off the pitot tubes, turn the generator off. Oh, I never had my collision lights on. Oh, man. Horrible, horrible. Failure all the way around, turning off all of these floats. The battery I am going to leave in the on position. Generator I've turned off. I'm going to bring the collective down to an idle. Then I'm going to come up to my overhead panel, open the switch, turn that bad boy off. It gives me the green for the shutdown, and now I'm just waiting for the rotors to spool down. And that is going to be enough to get credit for this mission, and probably in high standard. We can come into our communications and shut these down. I am not going to shut down mission steps just yet, but we can kind of take a look at our gauges here to see what's going on. How well is our RPM coming down? We're almost below 290. It's dropping pretty rapidly. We're doing well. I'm going to take my monitors and turn them back off. We don't need them anymore. It's just a matter of waiting for that number to come down a bit. What the official number is for RPM before you can engage a rotor brake, I am not the one to ask. But we're in an idle indent. We're going to come up here and take this. It's in the off position. Good to go. Now we take our rotor brake, pull it back, checks it, and now we just wait for the engines to come to a stop. In our marshmallow helicopter for search and rescue helicopters. That's just the marshmallow of helicopters. However, found him. Search and rescue mission complete. Ladies and gentlemen, if there are any questions how to go from D ratings to a B rating. Oh, B rating, 68% on target retrieval time. Now, if you ask me, I made it to them pretty quickly. So I'm thinking that time is the amount of time I spend doing startup procedures on the ground. But it gives me, okay, no, it's actually attributed to my faults. Look what it says. Aviator performances. Most important mistakes were cruise speed, altitude, landing and takeoff nights. No bonus. But does it tell you? It tells you taxi speed. Max speed, don't exceed the aircraft's certified maximum speed. Cruise speed, comply with cruise speed assigned by ATC during IFR flights. So that means you would have to change your EFB every single time to an IFR flight in order to get a assigned speed. But I'm getting dinged for it even on a VFR flight. These are things that I just think need to be worked out. However, it is still allowing me to complete these missions and gain 4,160 credits in a single swipe. Doing what we came here to do. I dropped a little reputation with that bonus failure, but I did level up once again. We're up to level 27. Not too bad. You can see there is an incredible difference between the last level's expected points before upgrade. Level up doesn't happen now until 137,500 XP points. But we're well on our way. And that's because there are things going on in this menu. So you have to be warned about what's happening here. That icon with those binoculars means two different things. I'm talking about this icon right here. That means two different things. So be aware of which one you're using.